Hello and welcome to week 10 of the FUT Weekly podcast. We're into double digits, Japes, and nice to have you on this one. Hello.
Cheers, Ben. Happy to be back on this one. Happy to survive into double digits, but it's been a pretty fun year so far. So may the fun continue.
Yeah, the usual triple threat of Japes, myself, and Josh isn't available today because Josh is in Norway. I guess he'll fill us in. I'm not sure why specifically Norway. We'll find out, I guess, when he's next on. But we do have, as you might expect in Josh's absence, Richard Buckley, and especially relevant this week, of course. Welcome back to the pod.
Thank you very much, Ben. Yeah, I had a little look through the Discord and I actually saw some, can we get someone who knows a bit about the pro scene on the podcast? I've been waiting 4 years in the making and I'm here.
Yeah. Looking forward to your insight on this. I think you're probably one of the best people around, if not the best, to tell us about which players are going to get upgrades, and we'll go through them, go through the groups, and really get people informed on something that I'm guessing people may not know too much about. So looking forward to it, and it is maybe a way to make a few coins if people are willing to maybe pop a few of these players into their clubs, because a lot of them seem very cheap. One thing I was going to say is we were going to do pound for pound powerhouse, but probably don't have time on this episode considering how much there is to get through. But I'll start us off with a bit of a nomination. I think I've found a 750k player for 60k. So if you look at Kolo Muani, he's 750k, and his stats and profile generally are incredibly similar to, I think it's 𝘵𝘃𝗃𝗁𝘀.
Yeah, the Serie A Frenchman.
Yeah, it's actually kind of incredible. I mean, I think Kolo Muani is slightly better because it has better reactions and composure, but it's not massive improvement. And the playstyles for both are pretty similar, pretty good. And Karamoh is only 60k and Kolo Muani is 750k. They're obviously both French. PSG links are better. But the big thing for me, and maybe I don't know the pro scene well enough, and this is what Richard is here for, but at least from what Richard has told me before, Matheus Bonanno should be very good and do quite well. And he is representing Karamoh, whereas Randall Kolo Muani is represented by Lucas, who I really just don't know so much about, I guess. So do you think that it's fairly likely that Karamoh sees a fair few upgrades, Richard?
Yes, I would think so. I think with Bonanno in that particular group, I'm sure we can go into it a little bit more detail soon, but I think there's a good chance that you're looking at maybe even a 2+ inform upgrade, and I think he does qualify from that group. So maybe an 88 with a new play style.
Yeah, I mean that would make it a seriously good player, I think.
Well, I think one of the things, Ben, with that card that's like really the way his stats set up now is he's already with a +2 inform. He gets into the like kind of pace category where you're like, do I really need to boost his pace?
Yeah.
And that gives you a ton of flexibility as far as what you want to do with chemistry styles. So he is very much been one that I'm looking at, like a do-it-all striker with aerial and power header that's also rapid with finesse shot and technical. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
He was one of the ones that I came out and I was like, I could probably figure out how to go pretty French and get him in at like a reasonable, like reasonably easy.
I should have said the specific playstyles actually. Finesse shot, power header, technical, rapid, aerial. I mean, they're all really quite helpful, especially if you want to put it in the air. Yeah. It's like a really well-rounded player. I wanted to just actually mention the upgrade path because we talked about potential upgrades, but we haven't really said specifically what you can get out of the upgrades. So it is an inform upgrade each time. So for most players, that's just going to be a +1 overall. And that is for getting 3 points. And I think we should ask each time maybe how likely it is for any particular player to get 3 points. Presumably, correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, that means that they'll get a win during the competition, basically.
Yeah, so maximum 24 points up for grabs, 8 wins potential. Give you a little bit of a steer, shall I say. Very similar tournament took place last year, the EA Sports Cup, in which 20 teams took place, 4 groups of 5. There was one team that got less than 3 points, so 1 out of 19. Blue United got 1 point. Every other team got at least 3, with 𝘵𝑆𝑏QR getting 3 and Man City getting 5, and every other team other than that got at least 6.
Okay. So the next upgrade is 6 points, and that's an extra alt position and an extra playstyle. No inform upgrade, but that sounds very likely as well then for most players from what you're saying.
Yeah, I would say likely. I would say likely.
Okay, so we're basically looking at most players here getting up to an overall upgrade and an extra hold position and an extra playstyle. So if we go up to the next upgrade, that's 10 points, and they're just getting an inform upgrade. At that point, it's just going to be +1 overall for basically all the players, probably. So I guess that is maybe going to be a bit harder to reach, but not crazy hard.
Yeah. So last year, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 out of the 20 teams got more than 10 points. Right. So I think in a couple of the groups, we can go into more detail, but there will be players that it's very top heavy. In some of the groups, I think you might end up with someone winning the group on 15, 2 players on 13 and 12, 1 person on 10 and 1 on 9, and the group sort of everyone beating each other to an extent.
Yeah.
So I would say 10 points, at least half the players will get a 10-point upgrade.
Ooh. Yeah, so it's looking pretty nice so far. And what kind of amount of time are we talking about until we see that 10-point upgrade?
I mean, technically, if Anders was to win all 4 games on his opening match, you can pick up 12 points. The maximum points you can pick up if you win all 4 is 12 in 1 game week. You'll then play the reverse fixtures.
Oh, so there are 4 games each game week. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So technically, he could, Anders, get 𝘵𝗻𝗀 up to that. It would be an 86 for the first upgrade, an 87 for the next upgrade, and an extra alt position and an extra playstyle. But when's that going to be possible?
He's in Group C, so that would be the 11th of December.
Okay, so we have got a bit of time until that one. When's Group A then? That's pretty soon, right?
27th, next Monday, as of recording.
Yeah. So I guess we can't be very sure when these upgrades will come in, basically, because they're playing at different times and all that kind of stuff. It makes it kind of hard to predict. But the latest that could come in is late December? Oh no, January, isn't it?
The last game week is on the 18th of December for the first sort of home fixtures, and then the reverse fixtures start on the 8th of January. But okay. I would imagine that the upgrades are pretty quick because they'll want to not have a huge batch of upgrades for one. I think it'll be week by week upgrades.
I think it has to be.
Yep. And then probably by the end of the week, I feel like we'll probably get those upgrades in game, you would have thought.
I think you'll get them next day.
I think there'll be a quick turnover of upgrades.
I think if they're trying to push this, which it seems like they are, right? Obviously with this promo, they're going to want people engaging, watching the live stream, and then seeing the instant impact in game.
Yeah.
If I was sitting on EA's side, that is 1,000% what I'd be doing. I'd be like, if I can do this at the end of the broadcast, I'd be doing it at the end of the broadcast. Now, I don't know if that's reasonable, but as soon as a player, if you could do it in the middle of the broadcast, and for the broadcast team to be like, yeah, and 𝘵𝗻𝗀𝗀's now been upgraded because Anders got 12 points, that would be way more engaging. So, there are obviously development restrictions and requirements, all sorts of things that have to happen, but they've probably already plotted out what the upgrade path looks like. So they just need the action to happen in the competition and then put it in as quick as possible. So
I guess that means potentially, you see your first upgrades happening on sort of 28th of November, even 27th, I guess, if that's when it's starting. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But it could be as late, the 10-point upgrades, as I guess, January time? And that's also when we'd know about qualification as well, right, Richard, which is the next upgrade.
Technically, the first qualification period will be the 8th of January. That's when Group A will be finalised. Mm-hmm. Group B will be finalised on the 15th, Group C on the 22nd, and then Group D on the 29th of January. So that's all the final sort of group matches, with the finals taking place the weekend commencing the 2nd, 3rd of February.
Nice. And that is, if they qualify, a +1 inform upgrade and 1 playstyle plus. which is pretty huge. Obviously, they don't say which Playstyle Plus.
Do we know how the Playstyle Plus is chosen, Richard?
There was a little bit of conversation on letting the pro decide on the Playstyle Plus for which player he's representing, but I think it will be predetermined beforehand. But it would make sense for, like, we are watching the best players in the world play. It would make sense for the items to sort of replicate, try and replicate as much as possible how they play.
I think the interesting part with like the Playstyle Plus for me is, is it going to be a like brand new like Playstyle Plus added, i.e. like if a player doesn't have the base 𝗪𝗏, will they just go ahead and add in like Playstyle Plus? Or if they have like base finesse shot, will that just be upgraded to say like finesse shot plus?
I kind of like the idea of an existing one being upgraded because it gives it more kind of authenticity to the player, I guess, to some extent, where if you're just slapping one on top, it doesn't feel so tidy to me.
Maybe.
But then you'd think maybe they need an additional playstyle to compensate for the fact they're losing a regular playstyle in a way. So maybe they will just put a new one on. Actually, here's an interesting question. 𝗵𝗚𝗂𝘁, if he got to that point, which, you know, Anders might have quite a good chance of qualifying, you'd think, what Playstyle Plus would you want on 𝗵𝗚𝗂𝘁?
Well, I'm looking at this and I don't know, I guess from like a variety of different ways. Like I think getting, of the playstyles he currently has, like getting 𝗏𝗀𝗄𝗏 Plus would be kind of spicy. The other one though is like if they add, say they add Trash Panda, right? And they give him Trash Panda Plus, that's pretty spicy. Or they go Aerial Plus on him. I guess for where I'm starting to net out with defenders is like I kind of feel like base level pretty good about a lot of defender plus playstyles. I don't know if I care so much about block plus. Like block regular seems to do enough.
Yeah, I don't think slide tackle's that useful, or maybe it just encourages me to make bad tackles. But Richard, what about you? What do you think is the best?
I think it's always the raccoon.
Yeah, agreed.
The trusty badger.
Forgot about the badger. And that is the reward for the player qualifying, I guess, if you can call it a reward. The upgrade is a Playstyle Plus and +1 inform upgrade. So an extra overall rating. And I guess this is relatively simple. 2 from each group will qualify out of the 5 in each.
Yeah, so it's 2 from each group, going to the knockouts, and then it's straight quarterfinal, semi-final, final.
Yeah, and then the upgrade after that is winning the whole thing, which is another overall upgrade, a +1 to weak foot and skill moves, which is pretty big actually for those players that are attackers, of course. And, you know, weak foot can be useful in defense, but, you know, you're looking at plenty of these 4-star, 4-star players becoming 5-star, 5-star with a Playstyle Plus as well. So if players go through this whole process, they are going to get really quite good, which makes it exciting, even if that upgrade is likely to come, it looks like early February. But yeah, plenty of upgrade opportunities before that. And I'm interested to hear from you next, Richard, as we go through this group stage, who you think is likely to do well, which players are going to get upgrades, basically. We'll give you a moment to gather your thoughts and come back after this break. Hello, welcome back after the break. Hopefully you're now somewhat clear on what these upgrades actually entail. And if you would like a bit more information, then just search foot.gg 𝗵𝗚𝗄𝗏 Pro Live, and there'll be an article which will help make very clear the upgrades, and there's a concept player that you can see go through that process. But that final upgrade, the one with the +1 weak foot and skill moves, is obviously very difficult to obtain because only one player in this pool of 𝗵𝗚𝗄𝗏 Pro Live players is going to get there. However, the one before that, which is just for qualification, is going to be something that 8 players in this pool actually receive, and that's got the Playstyle Plus. So that's probably interesting to make some predictions around. And Group A, as with all the groups, 2 players go through. 𝘵𝗏𝗄𝘏 to me is the player who stands out. Team Hullet player, very successful, and he has Malen, I think.
Yeah, so I think Group A, no disrespect to 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘦 and Lucas, but I think there's a reason that they've got 2 of the higher rated items, because there's going to be potentially less upgrades for them. Both very good players, but I think this group will be a 2-way shootout between Mark 11 and 𝘵𝗏𝗄𝗏 for second place, and 𝘵𝗏𝗏 will win the group.
And so their 𝗵𝗚𝗄𝗏 Pro Live items are who again?
𝘵𝗏𝗄𝗏 is Daniel Malen.
And you think 𝘵𝗏𝗏𝗏 is going to win the group?
He'll go through. he'll go through first or second.
Speaking of another card that I think is way too cheap.
Yeah. Actually, winning the group doesn't benefit the card, right? Just to be clear.
No, just going through,
It's just qualifying, yeah. So that basically means we'll see Malen and...
Mark 11 was Genaro, the 𝘵𝘃𝗍𝗰.
Yeah.
And 𝘠𝘵𝑚𝑒𝑡 was Ronaldo Lodi.
Mm-hmm.
With Lucas, Kolo, Muani, and Hidalgo was Mane in Group A. So I would be looking towards Mark 11, Emre Yilmaz, and 𝘠𝘠𝑚𝑒𝑡 if I was to predict who goes through.
Malen is 20k right now.
Yeah. I actually packed him tradable, and I was like, I'm not selling him. Like, there's a very good chance that he gets an upgrade. And I guess because it's Group A fairly quickly as well, right? Because they play first.
Yeah, we could have an 87 Malen if Emre Yilmaz cleans up by next Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe. With a playstyle.
And his playstyles already are technical, flair, first touch, trickster, quick step, and Trivela.
It's pretty good already.
But those are fun on the ball playstyles.
Yeah, I wish you knew which one they're going to get. I think that would make it a bit spicier, actually, wouldn't it? Group B, we've got 𝘵𝘃, Young, 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝘀, Bonanno, and 𝘵𝑚𝑃𝑖. Obviously mentioned Bonanno before because he has Karamoh, but who do you think is going to go through here?
For me, in Group B, I think Karamoh with Matheus Bonanno.
Oh, baby.
And I would be looking at 𝘃𝗲𝗀, who at this time I don't think has been released yet. The other three players in this group are pretty decent as well. Young is representing Willian, who has got huge potential. But I think it might be tough. Facu Cohen, who is Locatelli, has not lost a game in the qualifier. He went 5-0 in Swiss and then won both games in the knockouts.
Wow.
So he's currently 7-0 in this process. I think he could be pushing for that second or third spot in the group to try and qualify through. And 𝘵𝑚𝑃𝑖 is very, very unpredictable. He could end up winning the group. He could finish fifth. Like, it's anywhere, and he's representing Thauvin.
Yeah, so the right wing, who's currently Serie A, which I didn't realise. I still think he was at Marseille. But actually does look, if he gets the skill move and weak foot upgrade, which you get at this next step, he would actually be really good. His stats are pretty nice already. So yeah, Group C, we've got Manu Bakore, Antonini Gabriel, Sean LDW, Anders Vergang, and Abu Maka. Apologies for the pronunciation. Richard can correct me, but Manu Bashor and Anders Vergang, obviously, you'd think will go through.
Yeah, so Manu Bashor is the current world champion. He represents PSV in the Eredivisie, hence why he's got Lozano. I think that's a surefire upgrade. And Anders, I think this will be a pretty heavy two favoured group with Manu Bashor and 𝘵𝗰𝗀𝗀 both going through. Abu Maka and Koulibaly is good potential, but I find it hard to look past Lozano and 𝘵𝗰𝗀𝗀.
And then let's move on to the final group, which looks fun because it's got 𝘃𝗃 and 𝘵𝑉 who I am aware of as being very good, but don't know too much about the others.
Personally, this is my sort of opinion. I wouldn't be going anywhere near any of these five. I think you've got four arguably of Europe's best players in Oberon, Levy, 𝘵𝗀𝗀𝗀, and 𝘃𝗃.
Wow.
And I think it's gonna be tough to split them up. If you are a fan of any of the clubs or the nationalities that the players are representing, or the players themselves, more than welcome to back it. But I think it's gonna be very hard to split those four. This is by far the group of death. Yeah,
and the players in there are Makengo for 𝘵𝗀𝗀𝗀, Ivan Cavaleiro for 𝘵𝘵𝗬𝗀𝘀, Calvin Phillips with 𝘃𝗃, Fabinho with Osama, and then I think the final player maybe hasn't had a player released at time of recording, but basically don't really want to back any player in this group.
I do like I think 𝘃𝗃 with Calvin Phillips, there's a potential there that he goes up, and I mean, you never know with the alternative position as well. He could end up being a very good centre-back by the end of sort of January time. But with Group D, we have to remember that round of fixtures isn't going to be played until the 18th of December. for the first set of upgrades, and then for the second set of upgrades, it's the 29th of January. So we're still 2 months away from potentially seeing two qualified players going through Group D.
It's too long.
So that's why it is. Me personally, I think Group A and B is where I would be looking for the players to sort of pick up from.
All right, Richard, hypothetical here. Say you have, I don't know, 1.583 million coins, hypothetical number, and I agree, Group A and B is like the only like maybe interesting time horizon, and you're going to dump all of your coins into one, maybe two players. Which players are those?
I would go all in on Daniel Malen. I think he's the one that I think 𝘵𝘬𝘃 is like he's got such a good chance of going through in that group, where in my eyes there's only 3 players that are competing for 2 spots. I think in a lot of the other groups there's 4 players competing for 2 spots. I think 𝘵𝘬𝘃 goes through definitely, and I think he looks really, really nice for the low investment that you're putting in. Like, what is he on the market right now? 19k, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just a win-win. And 𝘵𝘬𝘃, we've seen him win major trophies. He won the E-Champions League last year. He beat Anders on the way to it. He beat 𝘵𝘬𝘃 on the way to it. He's proved himself time and time again. There's nothing stopping him going on and winning this tournament. And Daniel Malen coming out as what, a 5-star, 89 rated player or whatever he could be. I think there's a lot of potential there. A lot of upside.
Okay, so Malen is one.
I think the other one, I think you'd probably just do 𝗏𝗡𝗏 because it's Group C, but it's almost a guarantee. Probably Karamoh for Matheus Banano in Group B. I think he's again, like, statistically a really nice chance of getting the upgrades necessary.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting. Players, obviously, when their impacts tend to drop through the week, but I always find it's tricky with live items. If the upgrade potential is a way away, they tend to drop throughout the week and can drop down actually after they go out of packs because, you know, you don't have that impending potential upgrade. With the potential for upgrades being relatively soon for some of these players, I think they probably won't dip quite so low, but it may be worth waiting till slightly later in the week once we've had more supply, less people trying to buy the players. But for some of those players that play a bit further in the future, you know, those Group D players are going to be playing or have their upgrade potential much later. And so those players could actually dip while the tournament's ongoing. But then again, if you see certain players like Malen, for example, suddenly shoot up, there's a good chance that players who are playing in the future will then also start to increase. But it's quite fascinating because obviously, Richard, we've seen live items throughout the history of, recent history of Ultimate Team. This is now the first time that we've actually seen it connected to the pro scene. And I was wanting to ask you, how do you feel about it? I'm guessing it's something that you think is good and exciting.
Yeah, I think it bridges a gap that there's sort of been a disconnect between the pros and sort of the wider community. It's not for everyone, and that's completely understandable. But just knowing the name of a pro player is more than what people knew before to the majority. Like, knowing that you've got Karamoh in your club, and if this guy called Banano, who you might not even watch him, but if he gets to the final and you're potentially playing for a 5-star week for upgrade and a skill move upgrade, I think people will watch. I think people will be engaged. I think it's a start. I think it's a huge increase on what we've had previously. And if this is only sort of the beginning and the introductions to this bridge being gapped, I'm all for it.
Yeah. And there is one elephant in the room, which is 𝘬𝘃𝗏𝘀, right? Because they tweeted about this afterwards saying, we're aware that the FC Pro Open 𝘬𝘃𝗏𝘀 objective group does not currently feature a way to upgrade 86 overall 𝘬𝘃𝗏𝘀. We are investigating the issue and will provide an alternate upgrade path in the near future. The player item will have the potential to grow to an 87 by completing a future objective. So I guess, Richard, there was probably something they wanted to do really between the lines, which didn't work. And so they've decided to go for this future objective option. And I guess people can just find out about that when it comes.
Yeah, there'll be a way to get a 1+ upgrade on 𝗪𝘃𝗏. and I'm sure it'll be communicated as and when it's ready.
Yeah, to be fair, it's already a pretty solid player for an objective player, considering the quality of most objective players we get. So that's good to see. Well, we've really dug into this over the course of this episode, but it's good because I've learned a lot. So thank you very much, Richard, for coming along and providing this insight. Is there anything else that we should know? I don't know whether there's anything we've missed. I feel like I've come from most of it, but
I suppose the last thing that I would say on this is it is FC Pro at the end of the day. It's unpredictable. For as much as I said and gave you like what I think will happen, we're playing one leg of the game. Like Anders might lose his first game and then everyone might go into panic and start selling for like 10k. There's 24 points up for grabs over the course of a player's season in this system. Everyone should get at least a +1 upgrade. And the distance from the first week to the second week is like 6 weeks. So by the time, if you play in Group A on November 27th, by the time you roll around on January 8th, we might be on a completely different version of the game with new patch and new updates. So just make sure that you sort of somewhat, if you are invested heavily, in tune with what is actually happening.
And if people want to find the full schedule, Richard, where would they do that?
Yeah, you can watch it and you can keep up to date with everything that's happening. If you just search FC Pro schedule on Google, it will take you to the correct webpage in which you can see all the fixtures and all the games that are taking place. If you've not watched this year before competitively as well, we play 9-minute halves, so there is a long time to actually sort of be engaged with what you've seen on the screen. If Anders goes 5-0 up after 10 minutes, there's a good chance that item in-game will have a reaction on the transfer market as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of fun for traders, especially during this sort of next couple of months, with prices rising and falling dramatically every Monday.
Yeah, I think it is fascinating. And actually, Japes, how do you feel about this as a concept? I personally think it's really good. I think it's actually got me pretty engaged in it. I think actually the format this year as well, which we haven't talked about, of the pro scene, it's a bit more straightforward than it has been in the past, which is kind of nice.
I think here's my big concern here is it's definitely piqued my interest. We're spending like a whole episode talking about it, which is great. I think it has potential to like fall kind of flat with how long it's taking place.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say like it needed to be compressed or like how I'm excited about what this can be for the long run, but like this is taking place over like a longer time span than the World Cup, and the World Cup upgrades felt maybe better.
I personally, if I could have had creative control over this promo, we would have done 1 week in terms of the first home fixtures as a promo, and then released a brand new set of players for the second set of games. So we can also scale to the power curve. So this first set is sort of pre-Christmas from November 27th to December 18th. And then from January 8th to the finals, we run sort of part 2, week 2, whatever you want to call it. We like 2-week promos. You run the second set of players and everyone gets a new player. Because I also imagine some of the pros don't really care about the player that they're representing. So at least then we like give them a second player that you can have this player as well.
Well, it can potentially go like higher up the food chain.
Absolutely. You can start at an 88 and then you can work up to 92, 93.
I like it. And it's also another opportunity, like another major drumbeat for pushing the pro scene. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. While it will get you engaged potentially in the upgrades, actually watching pro level gameplay can be very helpful for your gameplay and improve you quite a bit. I know people associate it with exploiting mechanics and things like that, but some of those mechanics are natural things in real football that people may enjoy using, and you'll see how people play at the top level, and that tends to be helpful. So although you make a good point about it being better if they've done 2 releases, it is quite nice to have some long range live items, because we kind of don't have those anymore, and there's always nice opportunities where they sort of drop out of favor. They become more rare because they're out of packs, and then you can pick them up cheaper, and because they're rare they tend to shoot up quite a bit if there is hype around them. So I guess it adds something. We'll take a break on that actually, and I want to come back and talk about a couple of other content related things potentially. Hello listener, an important thing to say here is that there's a 36,000 𝘵𝘂 point giveaway going on the Patreon, and not only that, but there's a free trial as well, so you can get access and listen to support episodes for a limited window, and then if you'd like to, you can continue to stay and support for just £3 a month, and you'll get double the podcast content. There really has never been a better time to support if you've been considering doing so. And the way you can find that is by just searching support for weekly or following the link in the description of this podcast. You can also go to bit.ly/morepod. It'd be a pleasure to have you as a supporter of the pod. And if you consider doing so, a huge thank you. Let's jump back into the podcast. Hello, welcome back after the break. I thought it might be a fun way to start this section off and lead to some further discussion to find out who people got in their icon packs. They were the max 89 ones. And 𝗏𝘗𝑝𝑠, we've heard yours, but maybe you could give it a bit of a reveal, a walkout for the listeners.
Sure. So I packed an 87 rated striker. 4-star, 4-star. Playstyles are 𝗏𝘃𝗀𝘀, chip shot, and technical. And if that does not give it all away, that is Davor Šuker, the Croatian striker. And he way outperforms his stats. Way outperforms his stats. Like, just having the technical and 𝗏𝘃𝗀𝘀 means you're going to get tons of opportunities to score goals. And I really like him. You would call it, quote unquote, like not a dub in the sense from the pack, because you can go out and get him for 70k, but a total dub because he way outperforms his stats. I will be using him probably in this next weekend, or in this next weekend league, and I think he could easily make the case for a pound for pound at 70k.
Yeah,
easily.
That really does seem very low. And Richard, did you do it? You can do a reveal. Actually, we don't know.
So I did the icon. I got a 50-year-old currently who is got the playstyles of incisive pass, technical, flair, quick step, and finesse shot plus.
Oh, hey.
They are a winger. Can we guess who it is?
So it was finesse shot plus. Oh, wait, I feel like I know most of the finesse shot plus icons, but I can't think of
it's not. Does Nedved have finesse shot plus?
Would it be?
No, I think Nedved's got power. He's got one of the shot ones. Is it Nedved?
Oh,
I don't
wait.
think it's finesse shot.
Actually, wait, no, it's not that exciting, is it? Is it Pires?
It's Robert Pires.
Yeah.
Pires is a baller.
But he's actually really good, yeah. Like, I've actually found him
I got shredded by Pires. Shredded a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Have you tried him out yet?
I've not yet, no. I was bracing myself.
Yeah.
But I'll probably play with him tonight.
Yeah, give him a go. I think it'd be all right. So mine was finesse shot, rapid, and power shot.
No plus?
So the power shot is the plus, yeah. And he is a striker. If I say the nation, it's going to make it obvious. He's 6 foot, an ex-Chelsea player.
Oh, Shevchenko.
Yeah. He is pretty disappointing. I mean, he's 90k. I'm surprised he's actually...
Is more than Šuker?
Yeah, he's more than Šuker.
I guess it's the Chelsea links.
Yeah, probably just a more popular player, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the best. So not the greatest selection of icons. Hopefully that made some listeners feel a little bit better about their icons.
So we'll make a team next week with Šuker, Pires as your attacking three.
See how you doing, chaps?
I really think that you could probably craft a pretty great budget icon team.
For like $1 million coins, you could have a full icon team and have a lot of fun with it.
Who else would you put in there?
I've used Lampard a lot and I quite like him.
Lampard's decent, yeah.
And he's like super cheap as well. I think it's the defenders is where you're going to get let down quite a lot.
Yeah.
So Cannavaro is now like 200k or something like that.
But that's where your budget would go, right?
Some of it. I mean, Hierro's okay. He's like 80.
Vidic is 180. Sol Campbell is 180 as well, actually.
But like Hierro, he's got 74 pace and he's 80k. You could even go Koeman for a little bit more if you wanted. I've used Bobby Moore. I did not like Bobby Moore, so I'm not going to recommend him.
Is there a right back?
Puyol's a right back. You wouldn't want to do it, but you could.
The Centurions and Etienne probably. Throw him in there.
Yeah. I think just over a mil, maybe. Yeah.
That sounds like a Christmas challenge.
It does. I will say, I used 𝗵𝗫 as well. Better than you'd think.
Yeah, looking at the fullbacks, maybe a 3 at the back would be a bit more efficient.
I think 3 at the back would for sure be the way to go. Although you're like exposing yourself for lack of pace, but maybe if you sit kind of deep,
yeah,
and you get away with it,
yeah,
you could put. People have enjoyed Xabi Alonso, I know as well. Seedorf is cheap this year.
Yeah, Seedorf is really cheap actually. He's always really good in game, but his base used to be high, and now it's medium. So maybe that is a factor in that.
Have you guys used Laudrup?
No.
I mean, he has Trickster Plus, which is kind of, I don't know, maybe bends into that. But he also has finesse shot, incisive pass, and first touch.
Do you know what I just thought? As we're talking about icons, we do need to mention a certain Danish goalkeeper, Schmeichel, came out. I feel like I've heard fairly good things, and actually, it's not a hugely expensive SBC to do if you end up with high rated fodder, right? The 85 and 87 rated squads are the expensive ones.
Yeah, when I was on the podcast last, Ben, I actually told you I bought a goalkeeper because I was sick of my bad goalkeepers. And it was Schmeichel that I bought. So that was a quick swap out, sell him, do the SBC.
So you liked him enough, yeah.
Yeah, he's elite. Like, he's really good. Really, really good.
I feel like icon goalkeepers just for the chem are...
Oh, yeah, that's what I was
massive.
thinking. I wasn't going to do him until I'd done the base icon because I was like, there's a chance it's him. So
probably get
yeah.
yeah.
So I decided not to do him yet. But I will, I think, do him because as James was saying, like the chemistry impact of having an icon, and obviously icon keepers, they're decent. And
have you used
Yashin? Keepers around, so I haven't, no.
No, I've not.
He's been good in the past, I think, against me anyway.
All right, pod listeners, who's the best icon goalkeeper that you've used? Because I feel like people are going to chime in and be like, oh, it's Yashin. It's going to be like, well, which ones have you used?
Schmeichel makes a lot of saves that I don't expect him to save.
𝘁𝗏𝗏 type saves?
Yeah, like where he'll just get like especially in the one-on-one scenarios where I almost think, yeah, that's a goal, and he'll just save it. Like, he's really good.
I've tossed around with getting 𝗚𝘃𝑖𝑠 as well because 𝗚𝘃𝑖𝑠 has like the long throw, the footwork, and the cross claimer.
Yeah, which Schmeichel does as well, actually, which makes him good, yeah. It's an interesting point to end it on what icon keepers people like. And goalkeepers in general, I'd be interested to hear. It's such a fascinating topic because people have very different views on goalkeepers. So let us know. Because I feel like there's an acceptance this year that 𝗁𝗏𝗏 is the best in terms of non-icon. So interesting to hear what people think about that.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll give Cech a run because, you put Cech on, his reflexes are a little low.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just go through all of them.
Yeah. Have a little run through. I think that's where we're going to leave it. So yeah, thank you again, Richard, for coming on and giving us all that insight.
All fine. You can follow me on all socials at 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. You can see me in action on the 27th of November for week 1.
Yeah, it was great to see the analysis from you and Boris actually at the last event. Are you going to be continuing in that role?
Yes, got a very special guest on Monday that isn't Boris. So
I wonder whether that might be a certain objective player we were talking about earlier. But yeah, thank you, Richard, and thank you as well to 𝗵𝘃𝑒𝑠.
Cheers, Ben. Enjoyed this one. Looking forward to investing my current coin total directly into some of these pro live items.
Indeed.
And if it doesn't go well, then we only have Richard Buckley to blame.
Blame me. That's fine.
Exactly.
It's so much easier. Life's so much better when you don't ever have to blame yourself for the choices you make.
We get so many messages. Emre's not won a game. Malen's on the floor.
I should say, actually, we are going into Black Friday, so you do need to be a bit careful because the price of these players may drop over this coming weekend. So even if you're getting Malen for Monday, just watch out as people are distracted by Black Friday content. Hope it brings good luck Black Friday for those out there partaking. And thank you very much for partaking in this podcast. A reminder, if you're listening via the various podcast platforms, you can subscribe on there, and you can subscribe on YouTube, where you can also leave a like and drop a comment. I do read them all. And if you have a pound for pound powerhouse, you could drop it in a comment too, if you like. And of course, a big thank you to all those supporters supporting the podcast. If you'd like to become one, then just search support for weekly. As mentioned previously, there's no better time to do so than now. Thank you very much to all those icon patrons too. Dave B, Hugh J, Darren W, Alistair M, Don P, Rob P, Jeff B, Damon H, Tom B, Adam G, Neil P, Alex M, Jake S, Dan W, Roger D, Lee A, Andrew C, Nishant, Waterman, Dylan H, Adam R, Rob L, Brendan W, Michael K, David G, Jimmy K, Michael B, Aditya S, and Joshua K. Plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, Hugh J, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato Foot for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add though. FIFA's a bit like life really, it has its many ups and its many downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to thecalmzone.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to thecalmzone.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.